Hi, it's April with Tinky Bell Miracle Reborn Doll Nursery, and I am going through step by step. By now you have seen a little bit of the neutralizing and the veining, which I still have to upload that one, but you're going to see it before this one. And this is the first flesh color, in other words, skin color. What is interesting with the flesh is there's so many different mixtures that you can mix. If you want a tan baby, you can mix a little bit of eyebrow brown with your Flesh 08, and it will be a little bit of tanning, which is like my little doll Aiden and Naomi, which is what an artist told me. You can do any kind of mixtures you can think of. Don't be afraid to mix your paints and to experiment, but make sure you have a test limb before you experiment, or you might jack up. So today I made this really beautiful color, and it almost looks like a tomato soup. And this is actually from the Reborn Mommy who taught me how to do this color. And it is a really nice peach and cream skin color. And what I mixed, so you guys know, I've already done the mixture. I mixed, it's rubbed off there, but this is Skin 08. This is Skin 08. And that is what that is. And that's the coloring it is. So, and actually, just so you guys know, I don't buy the big jars of the paints. If you're going to make probably more than so many dolls a month, you might want the bigger jars. However, I buy the small jars. And believe it or not, this small jar looks half empty. It has now lasted me almost 2 years. About a year and a half I've been using this, and haven't even had to replace it once. That's pretty good. I probably still got another good year, and the reason is because less is better. You want it very transparent. This is Generous Yellow. There's two different kinds of yellow. There's the Generous Yellow, and then there's the other yellow, and I forgot. But you want the Generous Yellow. And it is this color. It looks like mustard. Believe it or not, I don't use it that much, so this probably lasts me about 3 years. And then you're going to want the Pearl Red. In other words, Red 02. It is called Pearl, and I'm probably not even pronouncing it right, but it is called Pearl Red, basically. In other words, Red 02, as I said. And that is what it looks like. And it's probably going to last me until 2013 before I even have to replace it, because I don't use this too much, and like the yellow, I won't use it as much as my skin. And this is what it made. So the mixture will depend on you. What I did was, you can take a toothpick, put just a tad, just scoop just a tad on, and then I like to go like that, scoop it off and mix it in. Or you can just simply take your paintbrush, scoop, just one little dinky scoop, mix it in, scoop, mix it in, scoop, mix it in. Not a thick scoop, just barely enough to see that there's even any paint on your brush. If you're not satisfied with the coloring, okay, first I mix the skin color. Then I mix the yellow. Then I mix the red. And if need be, I will go back and I will add more skin until I get a contrast that looks much like this. But there are so many different things you can do, and I will set those aside. Make sure you put your oil in first. I never put the paint in first. Always put your thinner or your mineral spirits, if you use mineral spirits, or if you don't use the mineral spirits, if you use odorless paint thinner, make sure you always put that in before you even put the paint in. So I'm going to show you how I apply my skin. And this is Hannah's first layer of skin. You're going to take your mop brush, and it looks much like this. There's different types of mop brushes, but it's pretty much what it looks like. And you're going to gently get some paint And you can see that I'm applying it. And what this does is, because our skin is not just straight up skin. If you look at your own skin, you're going to notice many different coloring. There's many different colors to your skin. That's about what it looks like. But if you look at your own skin, if you just apply Skin 08, which I used to, you're going to learn that that's just skin color. You need to add coloring into your baby's vinyl. And don't be afraid to mix it, because we are humans. We have different. And then I dab it like this. I dab it on my paper towel. And then, make sure I got that over there. Then really quickly, I just dab it on her vinyl. And I go, and you be careful with the creases and the wrinkles. Creases and, yeah. Detailing. And you just go, and you keep going. Some people choose to use a paintbrush. I don't. I think it leaves streaks. But that's my own liking. You can choose to use a paintbrush. I just feel that it leaves too much streaks. So I don't like it. Now when it comes to getting into the finer details, you may need to use your wet brush. The brush that you use to apply it, and that way you can get down into your creases and your wrinkles and blend it down in. And if you need to get into the toesies, or in the middle of the toesies, underneath the little toesies, to make sure the color is getting in, taking it, then you're going to take a dry cosmetic sponge, not the one you use the paint with, but a dry one. And you're going to do this just to get any and all excess paint off, pretty much drying it a little bit. And you want to get any and all excess paint. How many minutes?
10.
And you can also use this side for the same effect of trying to get some of it out. This also, what this is doing, it's also blending your paint into the vinyl. It's not just getting the excess paint off, but it's blending your paint that you just painted onto the vinyl, which is really awesome. And you won't be able to tell much of a difference until you get a couple of coats into her. So you just get it until it's fairly dry, and then you can take a dry mop brush. This one's my wet one, but I've got 2 mop brushes, which is key when you're reborning. You might want 2, that way you can get down into the little toesies and get into there. So you are going to want 2 mop brushes during your reborn process, because it helps you to kind of help blend into the paint. Blend the paint in like that. And just make sure, as you go, you're blending your paint in. Whatever you do not grab the vinyl. If you need to turn it, you can always use a brush like I do to kind of help guide it. But when you're turning it, just be careful. Don't touch the vinyl. If you touch the vinyl, what will happen, David? What will happen is, if you touch the vinyl, you're going to notice that your fingerprints are going to get on it. Don't touch the vinyl. Always handle your limb by the rim. Even when you're taking it off of the baking rack, handle it by the rim. You do not want your thumbprint on the vinyl. Now, you can kind of see the difference. Hold on, I have to get that part dry. Sometimes it doesn't, if it don't blend in, make sure you go back and you're blending it in and you're getting it dried and well blended. Make sure your vinyl is accepting the paint too. This is the one that has had no flesh coat yet. This one has had the flesh coat. Not sure if on camera you can tell much of a difference, but in person I can already tell the difference. And it is really, really nice flesh coat. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to set this limb to dry. You're going to move on to the next limb. You're going to continue until you have all limbs done. And because you have let it dry on the drying rack, you are able to do at least 3 to 4 layers of the same coloring. Then you bake it at 250 Fahrenheit for 8 minutes. Put it immediately on a cooling rack. Take it off that hot pan. Wait until the vinyl is completely cooled down. Take a wet Q-tip and just kind of test a small area. If paint is on that Q-tip, put it right back in the oven because it means it did not cure for about 2, 3, 4 minutes. Redo it, then you can never paint, and then you can paint again, but always make sure your vinyl is cool before you paint, or the paint will not actually take to the vinyl very well. If you have any questions, just ask, and please look forward to more video and tutorials with me. Bye!